Hello, I'm Dr. Vinny Capetta, and I'm continuing our discussion on boundaries for your soul. This is a book by Allison Cook and Kimberly Miller. We've been speaking about it for the last few weeks. We have some videos up about it, so you can go back and look at some of the videos that we've done about it. This is a great book that helps us understand how to take the overwhelming emotions that come into our lives and to really turn them around, and we'll call it a U-turn. Turn those overwhelming emotions around so that they can benefit us emotionally, but also spiritually. So the first of the 5 steps in taking a U-turn, the first one is all about focus. Proverbs 19 and verse 8 says, "He who gets wisdom loves his own soul." So the acquiring of wisdom and learning how to deal with our emotional and spiritual life, if we do that, it really means we love our soul. We want things to be better in our lives. And wisdom means going after these lost sheep inside of us until we find them. We have all these parts inside of us, whether emotions or experiences. We call it parts of ourselves that are a little bit lost, and they need to be found. They need to be taken by the hand and brought, spiritually speaking, brought to the lordship of Jesus. And this is a lot like a surgeon, if you think about it. The surgeon needs to find a hurting part first before he can do anything. And if you and I have hurting parts inside of us, we have to find them first and we have to focus on them. It doesn't make any sense to disregard them or deny them or try to throw them under the bus. First, we got to focus on them in order to see them healed. To think about it this way, when a part of you emerges, whether it's an anxious part or a disgusted part or an angry part, that's not the sum of who you are. It's only a part. It's not the sum. Don't be fooled into thinking that's all of you. Obviously, there's a lot more to you than this one part that you would be focusing on at this time. So the first step is to focus. Where do you feel, let's just talk about anger for today. Where do you feel anger? Where do you feel it? Where do you feel it in your body? For some people, they'll tell me in their fists or their stomach or their head are some of the places where people will tell me that they feel their anger. And so I ask them to focus on that with curiosity and compassion. Curiosity, how long have I been feeling anger in this place? And can I have compassion for this part of me that feels angry? The first step, again, is focus. And another way to focus is to imagine, or what is the image that comes to mind when you think about your anger? Is there an image that comes to mind? For some people, it's a color like red or fire. Or for one person, they told me a tornado is symbolic of their anger because they're all over the place and they leave a trail behind them. This is a right brain exercise. I'm asking you to get a little creative here, and so it can really help us understand this part of ourselves. Also, in trying to focus, another way is to think about what is a thought or a belief that comes to mind when you think about this part of you. When you think about anger in this case, is there a thought or a belief system that comes into being? For some people, they'll tell me, if I don't get angry, I feel like I'm a doormat. I feel like people are walking all over me. So I must get angry so that people won't walk all over me. Also, in focusing, another question we could ask is, how long has this part of you been angry? In this case, we're looking for early memories in childhood, adolescence, or maybe early college years. How long has this angry part been a part of you? It's probably been a long time, right? We store past events and our responses to them in our implicit memory. We don't think about it every day, but these childhood experiences, adolescent experiences of anger are going to affect us in the here and now if we don't deal with them and we don't focus on them first. Early memories, like I said, often childhood, adolescent, college years. The hurting parts of us often exist in constellations. We'll look at it this way. Let's say I'm angry. I have an angry critic inside of me. And so I look at my wife and I say, my wife is selfish. Then after that, an inner critic can emerge that will say, I shouldn't be so mad at my wife. I'm a terrible husband to be upset at my wife. So now we've got 2 parts here. And then a third one might emerge that says, man, if I'm a terrible husband, that's shameful. I'm not even lovable, which is another part. And then yet another part might come out. For some people, it would be like depression. No one will ever love me. And then last, sometimes we'll see with some people, they have an escape artist part that emerges. I can't deal with this kind of pain of no one ever being able to love me and not being lovable and being a terrible husband. Now, what's on TV again? And I distract myself from these feelings. What we're trying to do is sort through all the chatter in our heads, all those that constellation of anger there. There was 5 different parts that emerged, and it's helpful sometimes to sort through that chatter. And one illustration given in the book is about the mouse in the mason jar technique. And that is, you have all these mice kind of running around, you have all these thoughts in your head, images or whatever. We're going to try to pick one of those up by the tail, and we're going to put it in a mason jar, and we're going to close the lid. And that, if that thing keeps talking to us, we can turn down the volume on that mason jar. We can pretend like there's a volume switch. All right. We're going to try to get as many of those mice into the mason jars as possible until we have just one left. And whatever that one left is, we're going to pay attention to it and focus on it so that we can really focus on it. When we have all this chatter in our heads, I think someone called it the monkeys that jump around in the jungle of our head. When we have all this stuff going on, it's too hard. We got to focus on one thing at a time. Maybe the mason jar technique will help you. Another thing I often ask people to do is, if they have different parts of them that are merging all at the same time, we try to figure out and see if one of those parts will sit back in the chair for a moment so that we can work with the initial part. So this is all about focusing. And it's all about differentiating from hurting parts. You are not your hurting parts. That's not your identity. If you're a Christian, your identity is in Jesus Christ. So we want to differentiate ourselves and see the difference between us and our hurting parts. You are not your hurting part. That isn't the sum total of who you are. So when you speak, I'm going to ask you to speak on behalf of that part rather than speaking from that part. Do you have a part of you that's angry? Okay, I'm going to ask you to speak on behalf of that part, but not speak from that part. All of us have spoken from anger, right? And we know that that usually doesn't help the situation very much. But if we could speak on behalf of our anger, almost like an advocate in a way, like we're the lawyer for our anger and we're going to speak for it, we're probably going to get a lot further in the situation that that's in front of us. So this part doesn't have the whole story, and that's why we can't let it speak, but we speak for it. This part doesn't have the whole story. Earlier, I showed you the constellation of 5 different parts that could emerge all around anger. Each one of them has a story to tell. Each of them isn't telling the whole story. But with all of them, maybe we get a fuller story. So that's why we have to sift what we're going to say by the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit has to help us sift whatever we're going to say. If I'm going to say anything on behalf of my anger, I better pray and ask the Holy Spirit to sift through all the things I want to say so that what I say is helpful for the situation, so that I can speak respectfully to that person in front of me. This increases the chances that I will be listened to by that other person. It also is going to enhance my trust between me and God, and it's also going to enhance my trust between myself and others. So the first step is focus. What emotion are you feeling? Are you feeling it physically anywhere in your body? Take a moment. Scan your body, see if you feel anger, see if you feel anxiety, see if you feel whatever emotion that is in your body. Often we will find that we are holding it somewhere in our bodies. How far away is that emotion? Is it like right on top of you? Is it in the same room with you? Is it in the other room? Is it outside your house? Is it across the street? Getting an idea of how close to you that emotion is. Maybe it's too far away. Maybe it's too close. If it's too close, you can ask it to step back a little bit so that you can get to know it better. And then another thing I said earlier was, what's an early memory of that same feeling that you have, whether it's that feeling in your body or whether it's that feeling that you have noticed, like anxiety or anger. A great animated film that helps us understand emotions well is called Inside Out. It's a Disney Pixar movie. I encourage you to pick up that movie and watch it. I think it'll really help you understand your emotional life. And hopefully also you can blend that with what you know spiritually to really enhance your emotional and spiritual life. We're talking here every week about boundaries for your soul, and we'll be doing that for a number of weeks to come. We do this on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. If you want to join us, you can reach out to me and I'll share the Zoom link with you. Also, you'll find some resources at AllisonCookPhD.com/resources. She's got a number of things on her website there that would be really helpful to you. God bless you. Thanks for listening.